The Game Awards have come and gone. Expedition 33 received its flowers. We watched as indie games dominated not only in nominations, but also awards. And we were showered in incredible trailers, from the return of Tomb Raider to Larry.
Is that fucking Nagatoro? I'm so dumb, bro.
In Studios' next game, Divinity. Man, was that one worth it. Then at the end of the show, Jeff Keighley comes out and really lays it on thick. And he shows us High Guard, a PvP hero shooter. What were they thinking? Especially following the Divinity trailer. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And he had all the fanfare, all the anticipation. Man, did that guy want to make sure he sold that game. It was the last spot of the night, normally where we would typically see a really big heavy hitter, a major reveal, and they just pretended like it was something that we were begging for, all the while showing us something that...
Who the fuck is begging for more hero shooters, man? Like, bro, I swear to God, playing a hero shooter has become more and more like playing an MMORPG, bro. It's a fucking 9 to 5, damn near 12-hour job just to keep up with everything. It's a fucking work environment.
We've seen a million times by now. The same music.
They're going to start bringing in HR departments for gamers one of these days. I tell you, they really will. I'm not joking.
The same slow motion hero animations showing their powers and all of that good stuff. It was just like Concord's trailer in more ways than you actually...
Oh, no. Oh, no, not Concord. Concord does things. Concord had 600 players. Not 600,000. 600. I should have gotten Concord. I really should have. Just so I could have said, I played this.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later. And I've seen a lot of feedback surrounding this game. People are not very happy. Most people are just kind of sick and tired of a lot of this stuff. I've seen the developers having a really hard time with it on social media. A lot of people also rushing to defend them, trying to create a pillow fort to defend them from all the toxic gamers. You know, it's just the streamers and the YouTubers that are the problem. These aren't real opinions. It's just manufactured hate more than anything else. Not listening to the players. You know, that's worked out a lot for these guys in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah, man.
All they are is just protecting a game that is clearly destined for failure. You have to learn from these lessons. So today, I'm talking about why that is. I'm talking about the fate of this game. I'm talking about all the bad decisions that these guys made up to the release of this game. Why this game is such a bad idea. Why people hate it. Why people are defending it. And why I don't think this is the last time we're going to see it.
This is definitely not the last time we're going to see it.
Enfield, coming out January 22nd. This is a full 3D real-time strategy action RPG set on Talos 2, mixing fast tactical team combat, factory building and management,
maybe
the whole process
this is
of
just me. What the fuck is real-time strategy? Like,
reshaping different regions of a planet in a way that honestly surprised me. You play as the administrator, managing this frontier outpost while you fight, explore, and build. Exploration isn't always safe. You will run into hostile creatures and dangers along the way. That's where your team combat comes in. You can pick from a roster of 24 operators with different classes and different skill types to build the team that you want. Combat plays out in real time, so you're going to be...
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, we've gone from cat to dog girls. Now we've got sheep girl. Oh, Lord.
Swapping between characters, timing dodges, and leveraging physical statuses and arts afflictions to be able to trigger the best team combos. It's not about button mashing. It's about making your squad work together in a way that feels smooth and controlled. This new beta adds a rebuilt story, updated cutscenes, and a whole new region called Wu Ling. Visually, it's a blend of futuristic tech and Eastern architecture that definitely stood out to me. And as you explore it, you're going to come across new encounters, new stories, and new environmental details that make the whole region feel much more alive. Then there's the AIC factory and blueprint system, which is basically your way of reshaping the world, building automated production lines, upgrading facilities, and expanding your outposts as you explore. It's satisfying, and you get to see your progress reflected in the world. Arknight's Enfield launches on January 22nd, 2026 for
Arknights. I've
PlayStation
heard
5,
of this
PC,
game.
iOS, and Android. And pre-registration is live right now. So if you want to check it out early, hit the link in the description or the pinned comment. The Game Awards
Lord
lives and
have
dies
mercy.
by trailers. Every single year, it's the same cycle. Rumors, wish casting, people convincing themselves that this is finally the night for Bloodborne 2 or Half-Life 3. And because of that,
Bloodborne 2,
the final trailer
exactly.
carries extra weight. It's supposed to be the big one. Jeff Keighley really leaned into...
Dude, the Lara Croft ones were so good. And like, not even because of the biddies, okay? Relax.
that hard. He reminded everybody that the last slot is saved for something special, teased that this game was being made in secret, and then dropped the pedigree. Former Respawn developers, the people behind
What the
Titanfall
fuck?
and Apex Legends, breaking away from AAA. Expectations spiked, the room went dark, the trailer rolled, and what followed was the most aggressively generic reveal we saw the entire night.
It was like eating a piece of fucking tofu, bro. There was no flavor. It is like taking a piece of silken tofu and chucking that shit in your mouth and expecting to find some joy. There was no joy to be held. There was no joy to be had. It was shit. It was horrid. It was awful.
Highguard is a PvPvE hero-based shooter where you are playing as wardens fighting over territory and raiding enemy strongholds. On paper, honestly, fine, but the problem is that none of that actually comes through in the trailer. What does come through is how completely interchangeable all of this feels. The same abilities, the same pacing, the same presentation that we have seen a dozen times by now. It's pulling straight from the Valorant playbook right down to the silhouettes and the cooldown drift.
Yeah, this is something that I haven't really seen a lot of people mentioning, and to be honest, I'm really quite surprised. I saw this. The first thing I didn't hear or like think was Concord, even though they are very, very similar, don't get me wrong. I thought Valorant. I thought this was just Valorant clone. It screamed Valorant
In
clone.
combat. The character that they led with honestly looks like John video game. Zero.
I want to break this. This is not John video game. John video game, the most common, okay? The most common gamer out in the world is a 30-year-old male father of 2 children. This motherfucker is not John video game.
Identity, 0%.
He does look like base character number 1, though. Like, you know, when you go into Ark Survival Evolved, and you're, like, going to make a character.
Personality, a lot like the whole game. The entire time that I was watching this trailer, I had this nagging feeling that I had seen this before. Not just like, oh, it's another live service shooter. No, I mean, like, I've literally seen this before. And it didn't click for me until the ice troll slammed into the ground. And then my brain immediately clicked and said, oh no, this is Concord. That is definitely Concord. So I went back and I compared the trailers. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The hero ability introductions are damn near identical. The pacing and the percussion heavy music.
Yeah, like, in spite of me, I think that a way they could have done to improve this a bit is by introducing the characters each with an overarching story for the whole game. Because obviously they're going to have some sort of story. You can't just place a bunch of characters into a game and expect people to follow it without at least a bit of a story, right? Like, the story is what jumpstarts the competitive player base, because it brings enough people in to say, well, we have enough players, who's the best? And then people actually start to try and get good at your game. The problem with this, with Concord and these especially, no story, no nothing, no backbone to it. It's just characters fighting each other for the sake of fighting. It's not going to work. You need a story, and I think a game that does this very well is the Warframe cinematic. I think they should have introduced just a few of the characters, kind of like how Overwatch did with Tracer and Winston, and Reaper and Widowmaker, but in the very infamous opening cinematic shown at, I think it was E3. Was it E3? Might have been E3. Besides the point, they should have made it so that a small tidbit of each hero was shown, and then okay, but nope. They should have made it so that each person who's in the cinematic, maybe only even 3 people, got a little bit of screen time on their own to show what they are capable of. I think having them all together in a cohesive whole, just fighting, is not going to help you. Like, for example, with Warframe cinematic, Excalibur gets shown on his own with the dog, and then you have Volt that gets shown after that, and then Mag, and then Volt, and they scroll through these things completely, right? And then afterwards they show them working together as a cohesive whole. But I really do think, like, spending time, the audience spending time alone with a character is more important than what people give off.
Is just about the same. The rhythm of the cuts, the way the abilities are framed, the timing of, oh, look how cool this character is moments. It all lines up perfectly. If you start splicing the 2 trailers together, you genuinely start to lose track of which game you're watching unless you're paying close attention. I don't know if they outsource some of the same assets, but you cannot wash the Concord stink off of this thing. I mean, these guys are already falling into the exact same trap that buried Concord. This is a hero shooter with completely unremarkable characters. They're not offensively bad this time. They're not hideous, but they're just safe, polished, inoffensive, and instantly forgettable. Not a single character jumps out at you or makes you say, you know what, I am curious to play them. The abilities are all things that we've seen before. The powers blur together, and yet this trailer...
I've said this before in previous videos. I'll say it now as well. I do genuinely feel for game developers who have passion for the MOBA genre, because the degree of which you can do without being called a copycat it's essentially zero these days. It is so minute. It is so minuscule. You have to really, really be a fucking creative person in order to be able to find some wiggle room in that. Fucking Jesus, monitor. Fucking hell. Anyway, besides the point.
Has the nerve to say that it is a new breed of shooter when it looks exactly like 10 other games from the past year.
Like, I think that alone is just... New breed of shooter is not the words I would use for this. Granted, we haven't played it yet, but new breed of shooter is most certainly not what I would say.
And clearly, players are feeling the same way. The reaction online was immediate. People started calling it Concord 2 almost instantly. Others were furious that the game somehow got the final slot of the show. Dead on Arrival has become the default label for the game. IGN's upload is sitting at over 300,000 views right now with over 40,000 dislikes and barely 4,000 likes.
That is... Oh, Jesus Christ.
The trailer is getting absolutely cooked on social media. Ratioed and reposts, side-by-side comparisons everywhere. Characters are getting dragged for looking like knockoff versions of existing heroes, like the sniper, who is basically just a literally version of Anna from Overwatch. And then you've got Tomb Raider developers that are getting universal praise right now for revealing that they've been working on the game, while Highguard developers are announcing that they can finally talk about theirs, and they are being met with nothing but backlash, to the point that some of them are just straight up going private. So yeah, to the point that some...
Day one of being a game dev with a public-facing game, and I got 75 plus quote retweets, personally ripping me apart simply for being excited to share what I poured myself into for years. Locked the account for the time being. Yeah, honestly, like, here's the thing. Josh, Big Josher, responding to this was not a good idea. You should just. It's annoying. I know. I've been in your situation before in workplaces, but you just need to shut up and put your game. If you're truly excited about this game coming out and you want to make it as best as you can, you need to shut up and just work on the game. It sucks, I know. I am well aware of your pain, but you cannot do this. It is just alienating the people who are paying you is not the way to do this.
Some of them are just straight up going private. So yeah, not a great response, and definitely not the one you're hoping for after spending some serious money on putting your trailer on the biggest stage in the entire industry. The Game Awards now reportedly pulls in more viewers than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that is diabolical, by the way. Like, our tiny little award show has fucking soared, bro. Like, dude, that's so interesting. So what would this is? That's 2024. And this is like, okay, so here's like 2012. So that'd be like 2013, 1.9 million people watching. That's insane, though, that the first ever Game Awards still had 1.9 million people watching. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
And getting your trailer on the show is not cheap. Anywhere from $450,000 to over $1 million, depending on its length. That's before we factor in how much it costs for them to buy out the final slot of the night, the spot that's reserved for the biggest, most anticipated reveals. That is an insane gamble, and in this case, it is completely blown up in their face. Now, I've heard some people say that the trailer placement is the problem, and sure, I guess kind of. I mean, if this thing had shown up earlier in the night, there wouldn't have been nearly as much anticipation.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think either way it was fucked. Like, the problem that these guys are now facing is that they are now losing in the court of public opinion, right? Where the game can't, like, professionals can say all they want about the game being it's good, it's bad, it's whatever. But at the end of the day, man, like, the court of public opinion is the one court you cannot afford to lose in when you're a game dev. You can't afford it.
That was riding behind it, and also it probably wouldn't have been directly contrasted to some of the genuinely exciting reveals that we had seen. I mean, how do you follow up that Divinity trailer? But let's be honest here, regardless
if Divinity was in the final slot, I would have been happy. I really would have.
Of where that trailer was placed, it still would have been just as forgettable. The backlash here is not some mystery puzzle that the internet needs to solve. The biggest issue that we have is the expectations that this studio set for themselves. This is supposed to be an independent studio, a breakaway team, former EA.
When you see, this is now here's the problem, right? And this is the next problem with that has begun to sort of spiral in the gaming world and in gaming in general. If you say you are a dev from a company that has AAA qualities, and that you broke away from the company to chase your own endeavors because you didn't like their structuring or the way they worked, I want you to know your game automatically gets elevated to the likes of Hollow Knight Silksong, to Clear Obscure Expedition 33, and to Elden Ring. Okay? Elden Ring, why? Who knows? But that's just what happens. Now, the problem is, you, as a small team, it is absolutely unfair for you to be expected to pull out something like Clear Obscure. If you managed to do that, congratulations. You've done it. You've made it. You've won. But I honestly would say that in today's day and age, or at least this year's day and age, or these last few years, maybe a few years onwards into the future, while this sort of new age of non AAA games is the meta, if you will. Mentioning that you've worked at a AAA development company, let's say Ubisoft, is actually more damaging to you as a dev than if you had just stayed quiet and let the internet find out about it by themselves. Because when you say something like this, right, the internet automatically assumes that you're going to be able to put up stuff that they have in their best interest. And I think he's going to harp on about this legendary drops here. But the point is, I think for game devs these days who are breaking off from these companies, who are doing these sorts of things, I would not mention what you have worked on in the past. You can publish your game and you can make your name apparent. Let the internet find out who is making this game on their own. You can put up money for it to be placed in certain events and promoted. That's fine. But I wouldn't be including, like what Jeff said here and what LD's saying here. They broke off to chase their own path, because this line of talking is extraordinarily akin to Clear Obscure stuff. So you really have to be careful about that. Really
employees.
careful.
More importantly, former Titanfall developers branching off to go and do their own thing. And what do they come back with? The safest, most corporate thing imaginable. The kind of live service hero shooter that we have come to expect from moronic and repetitive AAA publishers following the tail of everyone else, not from a studio that escaped that system. And that's the part that makes no sense to me. And this is likely what pissed people off the most. You escaped. You are free. You're supposed to be the ones that are making games for us, not for the fucking machine. Why wouldn't you make something actually different?
Bro,
something that players clearly want. You fly the flag of Titanfall for the reputation it gives you.
Yeah, that was fucked. I'm sorry, but I haven't harped on about that enough. I'm not going to start because I have a feeling he's about to just absolutely lose it. But flying the Titanfall flag, ooh, god damn.
For the meaning behind it. The audience behind that game did not disappear. It's been ignored. You know what? Who am I kidding? Of course, the only person that clearly sees that need is some random solo developer that's making a diesel punk mech shooter off of Kickstarter money and a YouTube channel. Seriously, go check out Diesel Nights. That guy actually gets us. I went back and actually watched his trailer after watching the High Guard reveal, and it is night and day. It's so distinct. It's so messy and unrefined and raw, and it just feels human. And watching that back just made it even more obvious how few people in this industry genuinely understand the art anymore, or even the audience that they're supposed to be making games for.
Mm-hmm.
Highguard takes absolutely no creative risk, none at all. The only thing that they're doing is just gambling with their own financial security at this point.
Yeah.
This thing plays it as safe as humanly possible. It's just another PvPvE live service game wearing the skin of past achievements, trading almost entirely on, hey, remember what we used to work on? And it's like I said before.
Yeah, look, that is a point that he's bringing up, is, again, it still stands that I don't think you guys, if you are breaking off from your own companies, should be doing this, at least for your own interests, because, again, you're going to then be expected to just absolutely destroy the system. But I think if you are doing it maliciously, that is diabolical in nature, bro, and you deserve everything you get, quite frankly, if you're doing that.
Or when we first saw Concord, when a game introduces itself as from the former developers of, especially from studios like Bungie, Activision, or EA, that's basically become a red flag for me. Not always. There are some outliers. Embark Studios is an obvious one, but more often than not, there is a reason that they are former developers. And in this case, they couldn't even spot the warning signs in their own game, let alone stay in step with what players are actually into right now, or even learn from the pile of failed live service launches that we've already seen just this year.
Like, here's the problem, right? Like, you're making this game... It's hard. It's difficult because you're so so many hours ahead, years ahead of when your game is launching, when you're deciding to make it. You've got to read and make a bet on what the market is going to look like 4 years ahead of, of the current market. And perhaps that back then did dictate towards a more MOBA shooter infested gaming scene. But quite frankly, unfortunately for them, it's gone the exact opposite. And you can either do the best you can with what you've got, because you've now got a shit ton of assets that you obviously can't or won't use anymore, and you've got a game and a base for maybe another build, and you could maybe just put a few more years into it. You might strain yourself financially, but hey, if you are, as you say, past developers from past websites and studios and whatnot, it should be a piece of cake, no?
Honestly, the only real risks that this studio took were all the wrong ones. They spent 4 years developing this game in total secret. No early footage, no tests, no public feedback, nothing. If they had shown anything earlier, and I mean anything, they could have gauged player reaction and course corrected. Instead, they went all in on blind confidence, dropped a reveal trailer, and then just announced a full release barely a month out, putting themselves in a completely unnecessary do or die situation.
Like, writing shock factor as a whole in gaming, I just don't think is worth it anymore. Shock factor only works whenever you have an already established player base. And I get now that the guy, what he was trying to do was use the fact I worked on Titanfall, right? That there is his previous line of work and therefore is his shock factor, right? For example, fucking Miyazaki is a prime example of this, where he will just drop random bangers on a Monday evening, right? Like random fucking just out of nowhere advertisements for an upcoming game. That is just his sort of thing. And he does it all the time. He just drops random bangers on a fucking Monday morning or Monday night or Friday evening, whenever. He can do that because he has a very, very dedicated established player base that is constantly fiending for the material that he produces. When you're pulling this sort of shit, you need to have a player base to back it up. Otherwise, as LD has very, very rightfully said, you're going to fall flat on your fucking face. And really, the only people who can pull you out are us, the video game players. And unfortunately, rather than pulling you out, we're actually jumping into the hole with you, and you're dying. It's kind of the way it is.
And I'm telling you right now, if you are making a live service game, you have to involve the audience as early as possible. You cannot afford to spend years and millions of dollars building something.
Oh, wait, this is going to be... Oh, this is going to be live service. Oh, no! Oh, no. No.
Out at the very end that nobody wants it. I mean, Arc Raiders did multiple closed alphas. They ran a beta well before the game even came out. Hell, even Marathon is out here involving players and has made visible changes.
Overwatch also had betas as well. Yep. Overwatch had player tests and betas and whatnot. It wasn't even free to play, but there were still betas.
Based on their feedback. When I see studios that are skipping that step entirely, especially in live service, it tells me exactly who this game is being made for, and it's not the players.
No.
I realize that the developers for Highguard are likely combing social media right now, looking for feedback. That's a little bit too late, seeing as though your game's going to be coming out a month from now. Looking at social media posts, obviously.
This is exactly like, I mean, for those of you who do remember it, and I've brought this up multiple times now, but Sean Murray's game No Man's Sky had 1 month left before release, and they were scrambling to work on it. When it released, it was a complete and utter failure, right? They got their heads down and they fucking worked that game into a magical game to play. It is very, very refined. But I don't carry the same faith in these devs because the way they're acting is, to say the least, abnormal.
Because they're probably a little bit too difficult to ignore at this point. And I hope you're listening right now. This is the feedback. This is the frustration of a real customer. Somebody that was a fan of Titanfall. I want you to know that the expectations set upon you are higher than that than AAA games.
Yeah. Yep. This is what I mean. If you, like, realistically, indie devs that are reputable, that break off from their own companies and go do their own things, are expected to push games to the next level. They have raised the bar of this sort of, like, very niche sphere of people, group of people, to an unrealistically high degree. Because the reason why most people break off from their companies is due to the fact that they can't give their creative output. No one wants in this economy to just leave their job. So most of the people who leave probably leave because they're good enough that they can and should be making a better product for us. And that's what they do. This very niche group of people are some of the best the industry has. I mean, once again, look at Claire Obscure. Prime example of this. When you guys have, at Highguard, have just said from Titanfall, that is a huge mistake. Because you're automatically aligning yourself to the degree of Titanfall. And that is a fucking error. Right? Especially for a live service model that has not been rigorously tested by players in any sort of beta. That is a huge mistake.
We don't expect shit from them anymore. We do expect more from you, somebody that escaped that. We expect that you're going to be trying to make something that we're going to actually want. We're expecting more from your freedom to create, not from you just to go and make more of the same. If you're trying to figure out why people are so upset, why they're so quick to just toss your game to the side, that's exactly why. We know that AAA game studios are not looking out for our best interests. We know that they're not trying to make games for us. They're just trying to make games for profit. We have the expectation that those that are operating outside of that system are looking out for our best interests, that are trying to make games that we actually want to play, that are trying to do everything they possibly can. We need that light. We need that because it's our last thread of trust that a lot of people have in this industry right now. And if you betray that, that is a very real betrayal, especially in the eyes of a lot of players right now.
Fucking
And if we start seeing a lot of studios that break off from AAA just to go out and essentially continue to just feed the same system, well, you're now betraying the trust that other studios deserve. How did you think that these Temu designs would somehow draw in players?
Exactly.
I'm blown away by that. How do you not learn from any of the live service failures that we've seen, not only just this year, but just over the past 5 years?
I'll be completely honest, and sorry to cut you off, LD. I think that they were probably at a point where they were locked in, regardless of, witnessing Concord's failure. Really, I think it was probably a little too past the timeline to pivot, and they just kept going. Don't get me wrong, I think LD's right in saying that there is a whole load and slew of things that they absolutely could have done to perhaps maintain or improve even the sort of reception that they've gotten. But LD is fully right in saying that they should have pivoted. Even if the game that came out was a lot more buggy, a lot less refined, so long as it was at least somewhat entertaining and fun and had a story, you would be able to start building a player base, get up, and be able to improve it over time. Again, Sean Murray did this in a very different way. He made a shit ton of money instantly and then really had two options to either leave it or keep going with it, and he kept going because Sean Murray's a good fucking guy. I think that's what you guys probably going to need to do as well. But realistically, I think it's too late for that.
And how do you guys go into secrecy, developing a game for 4 years, and then just drop it into the market and hope it succeeds? You know, this
4 years ago, 2021. ...2021 was before Elden Ring released. But their main... Oh no, they're fucking up. Because Game of the Year, both of those times, were Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, which have nothing to do with the MOBA sphere whatsoever. Yeah, no, this is a, The reason why I'm thinking about this so much is because Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, their competition was also not, in my memory, shooters either. I think there are a few, but there are essentially none.
Reminds me of Splitgate. Yeah, it reminds me of Splitgate. They had a really cool concept. They had their,
I fully fucking forgot Splitgate even existed. Splitgate, Splitgate's little fucking whole gate tech and stuff was really cool. I agree, but that game was fucking
arena shooter. People really enjoyed it, and then these guys sold out and wanted to be just like AAA, killed their original game, and then went and made a live service battle royale. We know what you're doing. We know what you want. We can smell you a mile away.
Yeah.
We don't want to have anything to do with it. I've seen a lot of people already rushing to come and defend this developer and all.
If you're defending these devs, first of all, don't. Second of all, if you're defending these devs, ask yourself why your IQ is lukewarm. You dip your finger in and, the water's just kind of mild temperature today. That is your IQ pool right there.
All the different developers that are working for them, trying to say that it's all fake outrage. It's just streamers and YouTubers that are feeding people their opinions, based, by the way, as long as you're getting those opinions from the right people. That it's all just hate for the sake of hate. And what that ignores is that this outrage, or maybe not the outrage itself, but the frustration is not manufactured. It's not artificial. It is very real, and you have to be listening.
Well, look, I think at the end of the day, really, players are just sick of fucking MOBAs. And as I said, if I were a MOBA enjoyer, a MOBA haver, if you will, I would, and I had Overwatch to deal with. I had Marvel Rivals to deal with. That's a full-time job. A full-time job. I don't want a third fucking MOBA to play. And the problem is that you have to compete with Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. There is no two ways about that. If you're going into the sphere, they are your in-game final boss, especially Overwatch. And you cannot ignore that. It is for this exact reason that people and developers in general do not make pirate games. Reason being, you have to compete with the people who want competitiveness. If you want competitive looting and competitive pirate gameplay, you go play Sea of Thieves, which is a huge game. Regardless of how shit on it's getting, it is a huge game. It is the biggest pirate game in the market, I believe. If you want adventure, you go play Black Flag. You, as a developer, are going to have to compete with Black Flag and Sea of Thieves if you want to make a pirate game. That is the sole reason why people do not make pirate games. Besides, you know, the fact Sea of Thieves looked beautiful. Okay, I'm just gonna.
To it.
That's my opinion.
And if this industry continues to dismiss it, if people continue to protect these developers, we're going to keep seeing this happen over and over again. And I think that's going to keep happening.
Okay, let's reset, people. Thank you.
Finally.
Yo, piss off, man. I want.
It's actually kind of wild right now looking around and seeing that most of games media is more or less in agreement on this, not defending the game, not running interference.
Wait, really?
Just
Wait, holy shit, really?
documenting what's happening. And honestly,
did Kotaku finally have
it feels
a
like a
good
rare
take?
moment where this industry is starting to remember who it actually serves, the players, not itself. But on social media, it is a completely different story. You have people that are rushing to gas up these developers, telling them to just ignore the criticism, dismissing all the backlash outright. And once again,
Like, I don't disagree, though. This is the thing. If the developers want any chance for their games to succeed, they need to hunker down. Hunker the fuck down and make sure this game is as good as it can be. Which, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Chief, is not really... It's not looking that great. Like, I'm sorry, sports fans.
this feels eerily similar to Concord. I really started to notice it when I saw a post from one of the developers who had gone protected, constantly retweeting praise, amplifying a handful of positive takes.
Yeah, no, this is... Oh, no. I can't. Oh. You see, this is the problem when you start surrounding yourself with toxic positivity. Oh, no. For those of you who don't know what toxic positivity is, it is a trait where you have a bunch of people surrounding you who gas you up for doing something that is not going to work out for you. And the problem with this toxic positivity is, and why it's just so lethal, is because it is very easy as a human to accept praise. It is harder to accept criticism, and it enables you heavily. And the problem for you when you are getting this sort of toxic positivity, if you will, you as a person have to live with the consequences of other people gassing you up. They do not. They can gas the fuck out of you. They can suck you from here to kingdom come, right? They can do whatever they want. They don't have to live with the consequences of you fucking up. And so honestly, in my mind, one of the top worst, like, mental, like, fucking deceptions you can ever play on someone. It is so brutal because it reinforces their own psyche that, hey, what I'm doing is good, and you don't have to deal with any of the consequences whatsoever, right? It is an awful thing to do.
Feeding into this idea that the outrage isn't real, that people just need to calm down, stop reacting, and that none of this is justified. And then you got a handful of pundits that are out there that are piling on, openly patronizing players for just having opinions. One example that really stuck out to me was a former IGN writer, Fran Mirabella, who had posted a video criticizing the reaction to Highguard, first writing an opening saying, "Unscripted vent, exhausted by predictable drama gamer reactions over Highguard. You gotta be pretty dumb to compare this to Concord and think that the gameplay is anything like it. Can we go back to playing games before we place 50-50 bets on their doom and trashing the artist's vision?"
My favorite part about this Highguard stuff is that everybody talking about this nonsense with Concord has, like, clearly never played Concord and doesn't even understand the gameplay that they're seeing.
Yo, he actually is sir,
There's a bit of hyperbole there.
I played Concord, so I know what I'm talking about. What the frick?
people are just overreacting, but like nobody played Concord, right? I did, by the way. But now they just want to listen to their favorite stream. Streamers and
Hey guys, number one Concord player here. I thought I'd talk to you guys about this new game up. Oh, she's a doozy, I'll tell you.
whine about, oh man, this looks like trash, bro. It looks so like unoriginal.
Yeah, it
What are you
looks shit.
talking about? Yes, I definitely think you can see a lot of these Apex inspirations and all that stuff,
Yep.
but like this is clearly, you know, a PvP game with these PvE elements, right? You got all of these PvE elements going
You know what? Let's let him cook.
on, and it looks like what it's going to be, right? You can have these PvP clash points. You're trying to make it to the end, but you're
We should not have let him cook. Okay.
doing stuff like, you know, blowing up buildings, setting off like reactors. You have powers where you're like smashing through stuff. You've got to get keys maybe to get through next sections. Like, it's not a bad idea. So like,
You're right. It's not a bad idea. It's a fucking terrible idea. It is the worst idea. It is going to fall flat on its face. This is what I mean by toxic positivity. This guy, Fran Mirabella, is still going to have a pocket full of money and a job when this shit goes down. These devs are not. Fuck you, Fran.
I don't know what everybody's whining about without playing it, but I'm just so exhausted with, you know, that part of the gaming discussion at this point. It's just, it's ridiculous, man. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but, you know, maybe we should play it and hear about people playing it first before we start calling it Concord. And again, like, you got to be pretty dumb if you think that this game is anything like the gameplay in Concord.
I love how fast all criticism gets dismissed. Not just the trailer, but the audience itself. Just blame the streamers, blame the YouTubers. Problem solved. And also, yeah,
Bad
no
aim.
shit. The people that are comparing the game to Concord never played Concord. Nobody played that
Nobody
game.
played
Less than
Concord.
25,000 people even bought it, and it was shut down in under a week. That should have been the lesson right there. When players decide that they don't like what they're seeing, they just don't show up. They didn't give Concord a chance, and if they're reacting the exact same way right now, the
Hold on. I'm sorry. Give me just a second. Hold on. How much did Concord cost to make? $200 million and $400 million. Okay. How much was Concord game to buy? $40. 40 times 25,000. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. Oh, Lord have mercy. Did I get that right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's just make sure I do get that right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do times 0.205. Yeah, so at the best of rates, we got 1/5000th of a percentage back of what it cost to make this. So let's go at the worst now. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Lord have mercy. Oh man. Oh, Concord.
Ending is already written unless you change it. And nobody played Concord. I did, by the way. What a line that is. Incredibly pretentious, by the way. As if that gives you any higher understanding of the reveal. This is a criticism.
Yo, someone turn that into a pickup line, please. I will use it. I will use it. I promise you. That is insane.
About what was shown. And instead of just dealing with that, you immediately start jumping to talking about mechanics that the trailer never even explained. Keys, PvE systems, clash points, stuff that you're just filling in yourself because you feel like it needs to be there to be able to justify your point. Then you turn around and tell the players that they need to wait and give the game a chance? No, we don't need to wait. This was the chance. This was the moment where you got to show the people what the game was, and they honestly reacted in the way that
Concord, let me put it to you this way. Concord and this game have the personality of a wet fucking paper towel. Okay? Like, you know that fucking, like, sort of viral trend where, like, a baby's sobbing because it's a baby and their parents, like, kind of just lob a piece of cheese onto its forehead and it sticks and they stop crying? Because, like, what the fuck have you just done to me? That is Concord and this game Highguard. There is no difference. They are wet paper towels. This is the problem.
You saw, and treating that reaction like anything else, treating it like it's illegitimate in some way, is exactly how we get games like Concord. Game developers, if you are watching this right now, do not, under any circumstances, ever listen to people like this. Do not listen to the people that are trying to protect you. Listen to the people that are trying to criticize you. Gamers do not always articulate their criticisms well. Sometimes it's going to come out cynical, hostile, even ugly at times, but it is your job to extract the signal from the noise instead of getting offended by it. I'm going to hit you guys with some pretty heavy truth. You are not just making art, you are making consumer products, something that is meant to be sold, played, monetized, and sustained.
Yes.
When feedback at this scale is so overwhelmingly negative, people that are telling you that it's fine or that the players are wrong are not helping you. They're not trying to save your studio. They are.
I want everyone who's watching this to understand this very clearly, okay? As soon as your item, your object, your thing enters the court of public opinion and is deemed to such a degree that it is bad, that it doesn't have any value, that it is not going to be interesting, that people are sheep. I'm sorry, but you are fucked. You are cooked. It is over for you. You have lost. The court, as I said, the court of public opinion is the one place you cannot afford to lose. You cannot afford to lose.
Setting you up for failure. The people that are rushing to defend you right now are not doing it because they care about your games. They are doing it because it makes them feel better, because it feeds their sense of moral superiority. You can hear the contempt in the way that these people are saying they are sick of the outrage, of the way that they blame it on content creators instead of just engaging with the criticism itself. That is pure dismissal, and it is something that we have seen over and over again in this industry. Content creators do not create taste. We do not manufacture opinions. We amplify what is already there.
Yeah. Yes, no. Content creators as a whole, especially big ones, like we're talking like your Hasanabis, your Asmongold's, the people like this who have a very, very strong vocal collective voice, especially with their fan base echoing it, can definitely sway the tide of things within the overall standing of what people think. But as a collective whole, creators cannot. They can sway it, sure, but they can turn a no into a or like a yes into a fuck yes, or a yes into a but they can't turn a yes into a no. It's just not how it works.
We are a lightning rod for public sentiment, not a source of it. And this idea is especially common in games journalism that outrage content is what makes people popular. It's just wrong. It always has been. That stuff never lasts. I do not tell people what to think. People do not take my word as gospel. They watch because something I am saying is lining up with what they already feel. That resonance is what creates that audience, not
Your number one advertisers are your own customers. I'm going to say that right now. Let's say I want to look at a game. Let's say the fucking Pokemon Fire, Heart Red, like Soul Silver, fucking some Pokemon game. I am immediately trusting the player with 1,000 or so hours on it, making a troll comment more than any other fucking player who has played it for 30 minutes. I will ask them directly, I will go to them directly. What is this game like? And I would expect that with literally anyone. Of course, getting multiple things, having multiple, like, responses and views and stuff is, in my opinion, the optimal way to do things like this. But you cannot just not do that, you know?
manipulation, not outrage farming, just recognition. And pretending otherwise is a convenient way for you to avoid dealing with why so many people are reacting the same way at the same time. This is just what modern customer feedback looks like. It's loud, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, and if you don't learn how to deal with it honestly, if you hide from it, or if you just let other people explain it away for you, your game is going to fail and your studio is going to follow. The real danger here is not the players, it's listening to platforms and pundits that do not carry any of the risk, that don't ship the game, that don't rely on the retention, that don't eat the consequences when the players walk away. And we already have the
Exactly. When you, as a player, as a game developer, are making a game, the burden of failure is on you. The people who are in your ear whispering, like, oh, you're going to succeed, you're going to make a brilliant game. You cannot listen to them. You, as painful as it is and as annoying as it is, believe me, I know, you have to listen to your critics more than the people who are supporting you. You have to. Because people, while they can get angry for no reason, do not just go onto the internet to rave about it for no reason. Like, be it that the fact that they don't quite have the warehousing in their mind palace anymore, maybe their IQ's dropped a bit since they last opened their gobs, but you still have to listen, because there's going to be one person who comes along and says, hey, I'm concerned about your game for this reason, and this reason. And the problem is that you're going to have to listen and fix it, because at the end of the day, the people who are being positive towards you, that there's no telling whether they're telling the truth. So,
evidence of this, there is a growing pile of failed games and shuttered studios that followed that exact advice, ignoring the back.
I will just say, there's obviously no proof that the opposite is telling the truth either, but you can't afford to not take the chance that they are. You have to listen.
Backlash, dismissing the criticism, trusting these narrative managers instead of the audience. These people that gave the advice, they're just fine. The studios weren't. So if you're a developer right now, understand this clearly. Listening to players might be uncomfortable, but listening to pundits who do not suffer from your game's fallout is how your games die. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos, but live service right now is an incredibly dangerous space to step into. I understand why studios are chasing it, the money, the visibility, the upside when it all works, but as this industry continues to get more crowded, as more teams step in to keep copy and pasting the same designs, as attention and spending get tighter, these games are going to come under harsher and harsher scrutiny and far more visceral backlash, and these guys are earning it. We have watched this exact thing happen in open world games. They were sold as the future of the industry. Every single publisher needed to have one. Then everyone also needed to have several of them at one point in time for some odd reason. And over time, the ideas dried up. The worlds got bigger than the actual games deserved. Everything started to just feel like busy work, and players just checked out of it entirely. Not because open
games, I want to say, between the year, it's dropped off recently, so I won't include like 2024 or 2025, but from, I want to say, 2017 to 2020, like 3, really at the start of 2024, games were they were a job, and they still are, don't get me wrong, but to a diabolical degree, to an insane degree. Working a job was your gaming. It was terrible.
worlds were bad, but because the industry wouldn't stop flooding the market with hollow versions of the exact same thing. That's where live service is right now. Players are tired. Yes, there are successes. I'm not denying that. Marvel Rivals, Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, but look at where most players are spending their time right now. Older games, familiar games, things that they can trust, because the rest of the market is just imitation piled on top of imitation, and players can tell when
there is nothing saying that the imitations cannot be better than the originals, okay? There's absolutely nothing saying that. However, the problem is the originals had free reign when they were making their stuff. You do not. You can, like, this is not Fate. This is not some fucking, you are not fucking, what's his face, Shiro versus Gilgamesh, right? The original is almost always going to win, regardless.
something is actually being made out of the love for the genre or the audience, they know when that game is being made for their wallet. And once they clock that, they're gone. There is such an insane desire for players to be wrong today, and I find it so disgusting because it's coming from a place of pure entitlement and narcissism from an industry that has largely not had to deal with feedback or pushback at this scale. And I've seen people talk about how gaming discourse never used to be like this, that it's all just Twitch streamers and YouTubers. That is such a lie. I worked at GameStop many years ago for like 4 years. I can guarantee you that these conversations have always been happening.
Yeah.
They were just happening in private conversation and also in forums. But now,
Leave a comment, those of you who are watching who remember going to your local game store and asking what was good to the attendant. I am very curious because my audience is actually mostly older than I am. I think my average age person who watches me is, I think, between 32 and 45. So, tell me if you guys remember that.
they're on a public stage. They're plastered in front of everyone in glorious harmony and unison. And these guys just don't know how to be able to deal with that. You have to understand that players today will do anything they possibly can. They will say anything they can to make sure that the games they want to play come out and the games that they don't want to play disappear. I do my best to try to communicate in these videos that any of the topics that I discuss or how I even discuss them is never coming from a place of spite, usually. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the games industry understands this is just the nature of discourse today. This is the nature of customer discourse today. And they have to get it through their thick skulls that you need to be able to just face this, understand it, listen to it, and then turn that into valuable feedback for you to be able to make.
I want to regulate the phrase in the gaming community. Pull a Sean Murray. Honestly, It would solve so many problems.
Games that people actually want to play.
So many.
These are consumer products. If you're trying to make these things for just the sake of the art, that's fine. Don't expect to be able to make a profit off of it. I'm not saying that the art can't exist. Obviously, I want the art to exist. I'm somebody that appreciates the art side of a lot of these games, but if you're just purely making it for the art, do not expect to make a profit. And definitely do not prop it up with a live service model where you need constant engagement for your game to be able to stay up and for your studio to be able to stay open. I'm sorry, but looking at a game like, I almost said Concord, looking at a game like Highguard, they sound the same. That is a game that's being made for profit. Pure and simple. Everybody can see it. You do not make a free-to-play game if that's not your aim. Everybody knows that. And artistry is definitely not the aim for these guys. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the characters look like they do. So I don't know what you're talking about there. My best advice for Highguard is when this game goes to its release, make that a beta instead, and then push the release indefinitely until you can get a handle on what player feedback is, on what players are actually looking for, until you can actually get some heroes that people are actually going to be interested in. Now, I could be wrong.
I think that is
for some odd reason.
That is far. Again, you cannot have unattractive characters in a game. We're gonna be fully fucking honest here, right? Like, this is no bullshit. Gaming is primarily done by men, and not only men, older men. Yes, this is something that is known and accepted. If you are not appealing to the people who are putting money in your fucking wallets, you are stupid. You're fucking retarded.
This could come to release and it ends up being
Fucking
the best
idiots.
game ever because these guys just somehow found the perfect mix of mechanics and gameplay, I guess. I'm not really too sure, but looking at the state of the discourse, the feeling that I got from watching that trailer, this is looking like another game where I'm going to make more money off of it than the game is. Anyway.
Yo, what the fuck? What a flex.
Hope
bro.
you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Share the video with game developers. No, I'm kidding. I mean you can, just don't be malicious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe.
Thank you guys
Maybe.
for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Kick. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
LD, everyone. That's another one to add to the old Dropbox. That was a really well done video, and I fully agree, like, with almost everything LD said. Like, that is, in a nutshell, you cannot run away from the crowd that is supposed to be you're supposed to be appealing to. And if you're not appealing to that crowd when it's the major selling point in your area of expertise, you're a moron. I mean, I as a metal worker am not going to go to a wood yard. I'm sorry, that's just not how that works. That is stupid.